Hi everyone, welcome to another Google Cloud Global Digital Conference where we're coming to you live from the Singapore office. My name is Jay Jenkins. I'm a Customer Engineering Manager based here in Singapore covering Southeast Asia.
And my name is Natalie Puco, and I'm also a customer engineer based in Sydney. Look, we're really excited that you've joined us this morning. We have some amazing content lined up for you, all on the theme of AI.
Right, so 12 sessions spread across 3 separate tracks. So one of the tracks is around data. So as we like to say, if you're not good at data analytics, you're not going to be good at AI. So if you're interested in data analytics and how to start preparing your data for the world of AI, please take a look at that track.
Awesome. And then the next track is all around IoT and Internet of Things.
Right, so IoT generates a lot of data. You need to be able to process that data. But one of the things we're also looking at is a lot of times that inference, a lot of times the AI actually needs to run at the edge.
That's it.
So how do we actually push that to the edge? And the final one is around applied AI.
Yeah, and this is where we're really going to start talking about some amazing practical use cases. And we also have some customers on site and some partners that are going to be running through some examples of how customers have really taken their machine learning ideas and models and put them into practice.
Right, so let's take a look at how you're going to navigate the site and your day and plan your day.
Mm-hmm.
So over on that side of the screen, you'll actually see a list of icons where you can actually take a look at the agenda to see what's going on in each separate track and when each session is to help you plan your day. There's also a button to provide feedback.
That's it. So we'd love to hear your feedback, whether, tell us a little bit about the sessions, what you liked, what you didn't like. This is obviously a series of online digital conferences that we have been producing. So we'd love your feedback on what topics you'd like to hear next.
That's right. And also there is a really cool button there where you actually get to play the piano with an AI model.
That's right, AI Duet.
AI Duet. So please, at any time, just click on that. You can actually play the piano. The AI will play along with you based on what you've played.
The other button is the Q&A. So throughout the day, we'll have live experts standing on call, and they'll be able to answer your questions. So throughout the day, if you have different questions on each session that you see, please jump into that link and let us know what you think.
That's right. So definitely please use that button during the sessions to keep those live experts busy, to help them respond. I'll try to jump in as needed. I'll actually have my own session.
Yeah.
So
tell us about your session.
So I'll actually be covering TPUs, so tensor processing units. So how do you actually scale the training? So one of the things about AI is it takes a lot of data, but it also takes a lot of compute. So what's Google doing in that space to actually help accelerate that compute? So I'll be talking about tensor processing units. But I think you have a session as well.
I do have a session, and my session's in the AI Applied track. And in that track, we're going to be giving you an introduction into how we think about machine learning at Google, some of the kind of prepackaged API models that we have. And then we also have a special guest joining us from a partner, Servian, to talk about a really exciting Australian use case on how they built a conversational engine using a chatbot.
Right, and partners are a very important part of the ecosystem. Actually, inside of the data track as well, we'll have Informatica joining us.
Yes.
So Informatica will be talking about how to enrich your existing data with data from other sources, how you manage that through things like real-time streaming processing and batch processing, and how you govern that data to create trustworthiness in that data.
That's it. So alongside the 3 different tracks that we have in the 12 different sessions, we've also got 2 keynotes. For the first one,
3 keynotes.
3 keynotes actually. Diane Green, she'll be showing us a replay of an exclusive event that happened last week in sunny San Francisco.
Right, and she also had a discussion with Andrew Moore, who is our new VP of AI. Replacing previously Dr. Fei Li, who has gone back to Stanford. We're really excited to have Andrew Moore on board, and really excited to hear his thoughts on what he thinks about AI and where he thinks AI is heading.
Yeah, that's it. So we also have a special guest coming on the show now.
That's right. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. But I also wanted to quickly mention Rajan Sheth as well.
Oh, yes.
Who is also the final person doing the keynote again, who will be talking about AI and how it fits into the world and how to apply that inside of organizations. So one of the things, though, that we talk about all the time is democratization of AI and how we actually get machine learning into the hands of the general population. And that has a lot of benefits, open sourcing those platforms and getting access to that. So for those of you who might have seen IO17, which was a large conference that we had in 2017 for our developer communities, you might have seen a video from a man named Abu Kader, who started out as a student learning about machine learning, but I don't need to talk about it. Let's actually bring Abu on to talk about it with you.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, Abu. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So maybe just introduce yourself.
For sure. My name's Abu Kader. I'm 19 years old. I'm a sophomore at Cornell University, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of GliaLab.
Great. So from what I understand, GliaLab is a medical imaging company combining AI with medical imaging?
Exactly. So we're building an open source medical imaging platform to detect and diagnose all sorts of tumors and all sorts of cancer imaging diagnostics.
Great. So why don't we have a seat and we'll have a discussion.
Sounds good.
Great. So how did you actually get started with machine learning? What was your journey like?
Yeah, so ever since I've been a kid, I've had this intense passion to understand the human brain. I think that's really what's sort of driven me into AI, is really just trying to understand how can we mimic intelligence in computers and in computing. So, since I've been a kid, I've sort of wanted to understand how to do that. And then the summer after my freshman year, I visited the country that I was born in, Afghanistan. And coming from America, that was just an insane experience for me. I sort of saw and understood the loopholes and the holes within the healthcare infrastructure there. And when I came back, my goal was how do we sort of fix that healthcare infrastructure by also combining this passion that I have for neuroscience. And that just sort of lends itself into AI, because AI at its core is understanding patterns within data. And if you look at healthcare, if you take it in its most objective form, it's also identifying patterns within diseases and medicines and people. And so it just lends itself perfectly to communicating and bringing AI and healthcare together.
Right. So if you think about things like machine learning, so from what I understand, how did whenever you were first looking at machine learning, you applied that to a project that you had at school.
Yeah.
What was your teacher's reaction whenever you said, I'm going to use machine learning for this?
Yeah, they weren't big fans of it. At the time, and this was about 4 or 5 years ago, machine learning was still sort of this occluded space that people viewed as like, whoa, that seems very cool, but hard. And so when I told her as a sophomore in high school, she was like, are you sure that's the best way to go about it? Because the mantra is like, try to keep things simple. I refused. I wanted to see if I could do this and see if I could integrate neuroscience, like this love that I have for neuroscience, this love that I have for computing, and this just desire to try to fix healthcare. And so, barring her request not to do it, I moved forward and I did it. And I think I got kind of lucky because it worked out. But yeah, they weren't big fans of it when I told them.
Right, great. So since then, you co-founded this this company that's looking at medical imaging.
Yeah.
How do you see, though, AI affecting like the medical industry at large?
Yeah, so I think there are multitudes of ways that it'll affect a lot of different industries. I think in healthcare specifically, there's this real problem where we try to, diagnose and, treat diseases with this one-for-all solution. All different types of people have different types of genomes. They have different, diseases, but they also interact with those diseases differently, right? Your symptoms for the flu can be very different from the next person over. And so one of the most interesting parts of AI in healthcare that I see is the future where we can customize, drug therapies. So given your genome sequence and given the environment that you live in, how do we deal with the flu for you over, relative to the guy that lives in Afghanistan or that lives in a developing country where the environment is sort of much more volatile and lends itself to giving the flu to them much easier in a much different manner. So I think customized drug therapy is one really interesting component of AI in healthcare. And I think, moving back and sort of looking at how AI affects sectors in general, you really see that the power in AI is gleaming insights off of data that, humans normally can't do. And so what I'm really excited for across all sectors, not just healthcare, is what types of insights do we find out about the human body, about economic structures, about general populace, what kind of patterns are there and what kind of analytics can we pull out of that and hopefully use that for positive social gain.
Great. And what's next for you?
It's a tough question. Right now, my goal is to continue working within organizations that one, solve really difficult problems. That's something that I'm just passionate about. But also organizations that when you solve those problems, they benefit, the good of the people in a positive manner. And so, those two are sort of like my guiding values, and that's sort of how I decide on what I want to work on. But I think the real thrill of everything for me is like knowing that every morning I wake up, I get to work on a hard problem. And if I solve it that day, I know it's going to impact a lot of people. And if I don't, I can go to bed that night knowing that I work towards trying to help people and, trying to use what I have, the knowledge that I have to better other people. So.
Yeah, that's very cool, and a very ambitious goal and a good vision. So earlier we were talking about sort of how things like Google Assistant, where people are interacting, whether they know or not, with AI, through their voice. What else do you see changing in that space?
So I think if you think about the actions of the people of the future, that's sort of my way of trying to figure out, what are people, what are products, and what are things that people are going to want in the future. I don't see this, user interface as, for AI as something that still exists. I think then it's going to be more of a convergence between AI and humans, right? Computing and the human brain. And so I think the one thing that I'm sort of excited for, and I'm personally prepping myself for, I want this to happen, is this convergence of how do we bring computing and all the power of the internet and the search capabilities of a company like Google, for example, directly to the human mind. Right now with Google Assistant and Siri, we talk to our assistants, right? We tell them what we want, and then they give us a response back. Although that response can be intelligent, we still sort of need to give them the prompt. In the future, I think it's going to be more like you feel something or you feel some way, and our assistants are just going to know what to say. They know what's on our mind, and they can just directly tell us, here's a solution to that, or here's how to alleviate that sort of thought, stress, anxiety. I think that, as you said, the user interface, I don't think that's going to exist. I think we will be the user interface. I think AI will sort of just supplement us as individuals.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Abu.
Thank you, Jay.
I really appreciate you stopping by.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So what an inspiring story. What an inspiring story.
But again, also, it's that empowering vision around democratization of AI and democratization of these tools and opening up these platforms and the impact and value that those things can have.
That's right. And I think that's so much of what today's content is really about. It's about demystifying what it actually takes to get started with machine learning. And I think, Abu's story was just a really great example of, the ability to use these open source tools and what Google is doing in this space to make machine learning available to everyone, no matter what their problem is, big or small.
Great. So coming up in a couple of minutes, we have the keynotes. So from Diane Green and her discussion with Andrew Moore, our new VP of AI, and also with Rajan Sheth, who will be talking to us about how to apply AI inside of organizations. After that, we actually have a special session with Gojek talking about how they're using data today. A great example from right here in our region.
That's it.
And then we kick off the sessions.
That's it. So we've got 3 sessions, data and AI, IoT, and applied AI. So if it's not too late to register. If you're just jumping on now, you're joining us for our global digital conference titled Let's Talk AI. We'd love for you to share this content with your friends. As we mentioned, it's not too late to sign up and watch. We'd love to hear your feedback throughout the sessions. We've got experts live around the globe at the ready, waiting to answer your questions.
Yeah, so please use those buttons on the side of your screen, ask questions, use that agenda button to help you plan your day.
That's it. So we're really looking forward for you to join us in the keynotes and then following that Gojek and your choice to join one of our 3 tracks.
Right, so those 3 tracks again are data. So how do we actually prepare our data for AI?
Yeah. IoT, and then finally applied AI. So some of the use cases that you'll really be able to explore.
Great. So enjoy the keynote, and we'll see you afterwards.